Flat Panel Antenna Advances, and this is by Hakan Parker, and so he's out of STS Global. Is that Hubbard, New York? Well, New York then, yeah. Thank you.
Merhaba. My name is Hakan Parker, and I'm with STS Global. What does STS do? STS defines, designs, develops, and provides lifecycle management for satellite communication systems and wireless solutions. So before I start, let me just see if I have, there we go. So before I start, just a word in Turkish because we are in Ankara. Ben bugün birkaç kişiden duydum, Ankara çok soğuk. 2 gün evvel Kanada'dan geldim, Ankara soğuk değil. So let me continue, and I'm just going to go off of here. So I want to talk about where we are currently. So parabolic antennas, and I've heard this several times today, parabolic antennas are here to stay. They're not going away anytime soon. Flat panel antennas are very expensive. And although we have, over the past 5 years or so, we've seen a considerable push to get flat panel antennas out there, it's been slow. It hasn't been fast enough. Satellite operators are complaining that the progress of the technology is holding back their growth. Antenna companies are investing in flat panel antennas as the next big breakthrough. But not all are convinced. And the last item is the 74 centimeter antenna. It's being mass produced. It's very low cost point. So how do you compete with that? So before I go to the next slide, there's a movie called The Matrix. And in that movie, one of the characters, Neo, I think, he says, "Do you expect me to dodge bullets?" And another character, Morpheus, he responds, "No, when you're ready, you won't need to." So when flat panel antennas are ready, parabolic antennas will not be competing with them. So, excuse me. So let's start with the antennas. Currently, if you're in a geostationary satellite, the antenna is pointing in a fixed point in the sky, so you don't need to track. Once you get into the LEO and MEO market, you need to be able to move the antenna to follow the satellite in the sky. And I'm using SES here, the O3B system. Currently, O3B uses mechanical antennas. They're using 2 antennas to track their MEO constellation, and that's a very expensive solution. During the next decade, our industry is planning to send more than 18,000 LEO and MEO satellites into orbit. That's a lot. In dozens of constellations. And the promises, we're going to consume all of this bandwidth with new applications. Now, if you look at where we were as of March 2018, that 18,000 LEO MEO is more than 10 times as many satellites. So that's a lot of satellites that we're planning to send into orbit. By the time the satellites reach orbit, the launch and manufacturer segment of our industry will have been paid billions of dollars by operators that are looking for return on their investment. So I guess the question is, who's buying today and who will be buying 10 years from now? So, and I think in previous presentations that touched upon this, the price point of the terminal itself. You know, we're looking at a price point of $300 to $700 range, which is quite a bit less than what we can get flat panel antennas today. If you look at the price point of the antennas today, they're quite high. And for this to get more traction, obviously the price has to come down to a point where the MEO and LEO operators and the customers will say, yes, this is, we're willing to pay this price point to obtain the service. There's a push for lower cost antennas, and how do you push down the cost of antenna? Rather than talking of hundreds, you're talking of thousands or tens of thousands. So you increase the quantity to push down the price. If you recall, in 2000, flat panel displays were just coming out, and I remember looking at these back then, and it was $9,000 per display, which was quite a bit. And today, you can buy a display for a couple $100s. So what's changed? Our ability to manufacture these effectively. So over time, we're going to find out ways to do it better. So here's a very bold statement. The cost of the antenna can make or break the best plans for these constellations. So there's a relationship here between the LEOs and MEOs that we've been discussing and their reliance on a solution to be able to provide their services to the end user. Beyond significant technology, these systems will need to achieve unprecedented cooperation. And you know, we discussed this earlier as well. The topic of cooperation came out. So it's not just the cooperation between the LEO and MEO and the manufacturers of the terminals, but it's also cooperation, and we saw this earlier today with the 5G and the LEO and the MEO. So overall, you know, we're taking those silos that we've been operating in for many years and trying to combine them, which is not an easy feat. So it's not just an antenna problem. It will take strong partnerships to explore and identify the right models to pursue these markets. So if you look at satellites today and the new ones being launched, the new satellites offer quite a bit more capacity versus what we have today. And the existing satellites, obviously, when they were launched, a lot of time was spent vetting their designs, and it might have taken years or tens of years to develop the designs before they were launched. And what we're seeing is an acceleration of that development. So we're seeing much more capable satellites going up. So as achievements in machine learning and computer vision are being deployed, and we discussed this a little bit earlier, we talked about edge computing. So what happens if you take edge computing onto the satellite as well? And I think that opens up other possibilities. Disruptive technologies such as serverless ops, intelligent interfaces, and artificial intelligence will provide the catalyst for growth. So this is Northern Skies Research, and they provide certain figures here. So they're saying that by 2028, 10 years' time, the flat panel antenna will be $11 billion. $11 billion industry, and they will have manufactured 1.4 million flat panel terminals by that time. So that's a lot. The main driver of this is going to be aeronautics. So being able to provide these services to the aeronautics, we had this discussion earlier, the maritime is a much bigger consumer of broadband simply because they have the room to be able to do this. So with these terminals on aviation, as we develop better designs and more capable terminals, the market for aeronautics is expected to expand.
2 minutes.
So what does the future promise? What are we looking for? And our previous presenter here, I think, gave us a glimpse of what's coming. But what we're looking for is modular design that's scalable, electronic beam steering, multiple beam antennas. So on a single flat panel, being able to virtualize 2 antenna systems for tracking the LEOs and MEOs. Beam optimization, electronically being able to electronically scan 360 degrees. One conformal, so the antenna will conform to the shape of the surface it's sitting on. One antenna consists of several thousand chips, again, modular design, and low insertion loss over a very wide band. Of course, competitively priced. So that's our expectations, and we'll see over time the manufacturers, how they respond to these requirements. Thank you.